Welcome to Whole Recaps. Today we present to you the movie Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire. The story is about an extremely powerful regime in the galaxy called Motherworld. Then an assassination led to the fall of the royal family. From then on, the command of Motherworld fell into the hands of a man named Belisarius. Under his tyranny, wars raged across the universe and the people cried out for help. As a result, many resistance organizations were born. Our heroine, Kora, on the other hand, is living a quiet life on a colonized planet on the edge of the galaxy at this time. Originally a royal guard on Motherworld, Kora was stranded on this planet due to the effects of the war. But since being rescued by the villagers, she has grown to love this paradise. Although she still didn't fit in with the inhabitants, her adoptive father thought that one day she would make this her new home. The next day, as the village holds a harvest celebration, a huge dreadnought battleship suddenly appears in the sky with the Motherworld logo on it. Clara realizes that the days of peace are coming to an end. At first, the villagers were unimpressed. They felt that it was a small village, and as long as they showed obedience, then nothing should happen. But only Claw knows for sure that dreadnoughts don't bring prosperity, they only bring destruction. Shortly afterward, several transports landed on the village. The leading officer was named Admiral Noble. He had been assigned by Belisarius to catch the rebels in the neighborhood. But while passing through the area, he realized that there was not enough food left, so he wanted to buy the village's food at 3 times the market price. The villagers were very excited to hear about such a benefit, because with this money, they would be able to live a better life. But the village headman knows Motherworld's tactics, so he lies that the soil is not fertile and the villagers don't have any extra food on hand. But Noble is clearly not convinced. While pressing the others, Gunnar, the village administrator, finally reveals that there is indeed a surplus of food. This answer results in an enraged Noble killing the village headman's family. He then orders the villagers that they must hand over 10,000 buckets of grain in 2 months or destroy the place. Gunnar is horrified when he hears this, as 10,000 buckets of grain is a reserve for the winter, and if it is handed over, everyone will starve to death. But Noble only cares if there is food, he doesn't care if they die or not. On the way back, he also leaves a group of soldiers stationed to prevent the villagers from running away. Ali, one of the soldiers stationed there, opens a wooden crate and discovers that inside is a prior king's guard named 1435. It is said that these guards laid down their weapons and refused to fight after the old king was assassinated. So no matter what others did to him, they would not resist. To test this conjecture, Marcus fired several shots hitting the guards. As it turned out, the guards really did just blow their heads off and wait to die, as suspected. Then Sam, a villager, meets 1435, who is cleaning up the stains by the river. 1435 told Sam the story of the old king and Princess Isha. It is said that in those days, Princess Isha was known as the Redeemer. Before they were even born, the old king's guards swore to be loyal to her. It was a pity that when the old king's family was assassinated, the guards were still fighting other enemies on a distant battlefield. So from that day on, the guards lost their honor and stopped taking up arms. After hearing the story of 1435, Sam placed the wreath on his head. Meanwhile, the villagers were still discussing the matter of surrendering their food. Many thought that only if they mobilized everyone to farm together to complete the task, maybe Motherworld would be merciful to them. Unexpectedly, the proposal was supported. So Kora silently returned home and packed her clothes. Because he knows very well that Motherworld doesn't care if they live or die. But the foster father tells Kora that when he rescued Kora from the wreckage back then, he was afraid that Kora would bring disaster. But he mustered up the courage to take Kora and integrate her into the village. Now is the time when everyone needs help. He hopes that Kora will find her way back to the resistance, and then both sides will fight side by side to defend the village. But Kora is very pessimistic. She thinks that even if they unite the resistance, many people will die in the village. He didn't want to give his life in such a battle. After saying that, Kora was ready to ride away from here. But at the doorway, she heard a cry for help. It turns out that Motherworld soldiers are violating Sam. Ali, a new recruit, looks on and tries to help, but is knocked to the ground by his companions. In order to teach the uninformed Ali a lesson, the companions plan to take turns violating Sam in front of him. Well, in a moment of crisis, Kora appears in front of everyone with an axe in hand. But facing the soldier's weapon, Kora seems to be powerless to resist. Just when the soldier intends to take away her weapon, Kora turns on the killing mode. She killed a group of soldiers all by herself. The captain held Sam at gunpoint, and the two sides were at a temporary stalemate. But just then, 1435 walks in. The captain orders him to kill Kora and Ali. 1435 hesitates for a moment, but picks up the weapon on the ground and kills the captain. And since things have gotten so big, Kora can't just walk away now. She can only follow her adoptive father's words and go to the resistance to relieve the village. Gunnar then remembers that he sold a shipment of food to the resistance not too long ago, and might be able to work with them through that connection. So with Gunnar leading the way, Kora heads to a nearby town. On the way, Kora brings up her past. At the age of 7, Kora's homeworld was attacked by Motherworld. Due to the resistance of the people, it angered Belisarius. So he led an indiscriminate slaughter of innocent people. Kora, who happened to lose her family, met Belisarius on the battlefield. But Belisarius saw her potential, so instead of killing him, he trained her to be a war machine. Over the next 5 years, Kora won many wars under the command of Belisarius. So at the age of 18, Kora was given command of an army. But none of this mattered until the death of his beloved. With Kora's help, the two arrive at the town tavern. But monumentally, Kora's contact is caught by the bounty hunters for colluding with the resistance. Now that they've lost their contact, they have no contact with the resistance, unless they go to the contact's home, Sharon, where Levitica is from. But after thinking for a moment, Kra decided to look for his former companion, Titus first. Titus used to be the general of Motherworld. Later, he rebelled against Belisarius, causing him to lose all of his men, and eventually strayed to the arena of Pollux to fight for a living. On the way out of the tavern, a rogue takes a liking to Gunnar and tries to buy him. This results in a confrontation with Kora. The conflict then escalates, and the rogue comes back with some of his men to cause trouble again. Both sides then begin to fight. In a moment of crisis, a passerby steps in to help Kora. The opponent's name is Kai. He hears that Kora is planning to fight against Motherworld, so he offers to join them. At first, Kora doesn't trust him. But Kai shows that he has an airship that can take them to Pollux. But before he goes, he's going to take them to meet a new friend. This person is very powerful and should be able to make a big difference in the fight against Motherworld. Several people then arrive at a farm. The awesome companion's name is Tarak, and he is currently a farm slave. Tarak says that he is willing to join the cause against Motherworld if he is ransomed. So Kora make a bet with the farmer that if Tarak can tame the lionhawk beast in the backyard, the farmer will set him free, or else the three will become slaves as well. Tarak confidently walks up to the lionhawk beast and unties the ropes on it. Tarak tries to make contact with the lionhawk beast with his heart. As a result, the lionhawk beast began to calm down as if it understood him. After a few moments, Tarak mounted the lionhawk beast and began the taming session. The lionhawk beast flapped his wings and flew high into the air, weaving in and out of the stone forest, constantly trying to shake Tarak off. But no matter how hard he tried, it was like Tarak was glued to his body. Tarak took a flying leap over the cliff and mounted his opponent. This time the lionhawk beast was finally tamed. After Tarak joins in, Kai takes them to Dags. Here lived Nemesis, a legendary swordsman. Nemesis was once wanted by Motherworld after taking out 16 Imperial officials in one assassination attempt. Kai tries to convince her to join the fight against the cause. But Nemesis has a more important task at hand. Because the planet's industrial system has contaminated the spiders' nests, the arachnid mothers are unable to procreate. So she turns her anger on the children in the neighborhood. Nemesis tries to communicate with the arachnid mother, but she simply won't listen. The two sides had no choice but to fight. Under Nemesis' repeated attacks, the arachnid mother could only throw the child aside. But without the child's intervention, it gave the arachnid mother a chance to counterattack. Soon Nemesis came down in defeat. At that moment, Gunnar rushed forward and protected the child. In the moment of crisis, Nemesis used his best maneuver, injecting energy into his two-handed sword. Thanks to Gunnar's bravery, Nemesis finally agrees to join Kora's cause of resistance. The group then set foot on the Pollux, the ship that Titus was on. On the ship, Kora reminisces about her past. She was promoted to the Royal Guard for her valor in battle, specializing in keeping Princess Issa safe. During an outing, she witnessed the princess resurrecting a dead bird. Only then did she realize that the title of Redeemer was not a false one. The two became good friends. The late king told Kora that if Issa could become queen, it would surely usher in a better time. It's just a shame the old king didn't wait for that day. Shortly afterward, they arrived near Pollux's arena. They just didn't realize that Titus, once the god of war, was now a rotting drunk. Kora finds someone to help clean him up. They explain to Titus the purpose of their visit. But since all of his men were killed by Belisarius, Titus now lives in the shadows of the past. So Kora said, "Do those men who have taken orders from him want him to be like this? Even if they don't atone for their sins, they can still choose to take revenge." Inspired by Kora, Titus decided to join the resistance. Now that the various heroes were assembled, they had the capital to negotiate with the resistance. So they came to the planet Charon, where Levitica is located. They made contact with the rebel organization. Only after learning of their intentions, leader Devara rejected their offer. Because the rebellion wasn't very big, if they chose to fight Motherworld's dreadnoughts, they would undoubtedly be striking a rock with an egg. But Kora reminds that it was because the villagers had traded grain with them that the village didn't have any extra grain to turn over to Motherworld. After all, the resistance is also responsible for this. Besides, both sides have a common enemy, so why not join forces? After hearing Kora's words, Devara looked a bit hesitant. But Devara's brother, Darien, was already persuaded. Because all of his men had their homes destroyed by Belisarius. So after seeing Gunnar's situation, some sympathy arises. So Darien made the decision that he would lead his own men and join Kora in the revolt against the dreadnought. But not long after they left, Noble's dreadnought had arrived on Charon. Learning that the Leviticans were harboring the resistance, he clubbed the opposing king to death, yet ordered the destruction of the entire planet. On the other side, Kai tells Kora that he needs to take care of one last sale on his hands, before rebelling against the big job. So the gang goes to the nearby black market. But while unloading the goods, Kora notices something unusual about the dock workers. They look like the bounty hunters from the tavern. In the next moment, Darien's ship is attacked. The cargo on the floor all turns into hacksaws, taking them under control. It is only at this moment that Kai reveals his true purpose. It turns out that from the very beginning, Kai had planned to wipe out the world's most wanted criminals. So after hearing Kora's plan at the tavern, she secretly laid a trap with Noble. Kora has the highest bounty in the group because she is the most wanted fugitive by Belisarius. Noble is also happy that by delivering Kora's body to Belisarius, he will surely become a hero in Motherworld. Kai then gives Gunnar a chance to let him live as long as he takes out Kora himself. Unfortunately, Kai underestimated his opponent. Gunnar first pretended to obey, then when everyone wasn't looking he killed Kai first and unbound Kora. Soon, with Gunnar's help, everyone is free. Dargian signaled his men to get out of the way. But Admiral Noble saw this and immediately ordered the ship to fire on them. As a result, the resistance ships were blown to pieces before they had time to start. And two of Darzian's close associates died in the explosion. So an enraged Darien leapt from the high platform and stabbed the driver with a gun. But the driver avoided the attack, and in turn shot him in the stomach with a pistol. Before he died, Darien fought through his wounds to die with his opponent. He pressed the ship's burn lever. The ship then fell and blew up half the harbor. And below the ship, Kora rushes to jump in front of Noble at the last minute. She intends to end this by taking out her opponent herself. After a fierce battle, Kora finally kills Noble. With the Dreadnought's commander killed, Motherworld has to stop until a new commander is chosen. So the group takes this opportunity to return to the village to regroup. Waiting for them at the entrance to the village is the former King's Guard 1435. On the other side, Noble's body was returned to Motherworld. The scientists inserted transparent tubes all over his body. With the apparatus activated, Noble's consciousness is transmitted to Belisarius. Belisarius is angry at Noble's failure, and he gives Noble one last chance to clean up all of the rebel organization before bringing Kora to him. Noble's consciousness then returns to his body. The scientists use motors to bring him back to life again. Above is the story of Lunar Rebels, Part 1. If you like it, remember to follow and like it to support it. So see you in the next installment. Bye.